Alright, hi there guys. This is Jordan Budensky with the Elite Mole Upgrade. This is a stainless steel trap modification for the Victor out-of-sight mole trap. I'm going to demonstrate right now how I take a stock trap straight out of the box and I'm going to remove all the necessary parts to modify it and use my stainless steel parts. So what I do is I take the out-of-sight trap here and I line the safety catch up with the trigger rod, and I use an S-hook removal tool. You can get these anywhere at a trapping supply dealer. And I line them up in the hole, crimp it, and that just slides right off. So I just did the removal. I'm going to do 4 traps one at a time so you get the general idea of how this is done. So now once I've removed this part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bench mounted ferrule swagger. What I'm going to do is hook on my stainless steel beveled tip trigger rod, line it up in there, and there you go, it's crimped on, nice and tight. Let's move this out of the way here. And now, the next step is to remove this trap hand. Notice how this trap hand is at a straight angle. I've incorporated a modification right here where the angle is actually greater and it drops down about an inch. If you can see that, that's about an inch gap from here to here. And so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Sonic Crafter by Rockwell Tooling Company. And I'm going to grind this off. I'm going to make a nice slit right here, and then I'm going to use my pliers and a plier vise, and I'm going to break it and remove it. So I'm going to grab my Sonic Crafter here. Okay. In doing this, it's very important to maintain proper safety. One, I like to put on a nice pair of clear safety glasses, as well as ear plugs. Now, if you're doing a large number of these traps like I do daily, it's very important to use safety measures just so you're not going to hurt your hands, 1, 2, you're not going to get anything in your eyes, and that you don't damage your hearing. So I'm going to go ahead and grind this pan off. I'm going to go right above the little imprint here, how it was stamped on, and just below the curve here, just like so. Okay, and you see I got a nice clean cut in there. Use my pliers. You can actually use that Sonic Handcrafter to cut all the way through. Just by doing this many traps, I've modified a few hundred already, and by just making it all the way through to that first piece, it's actually easier and faster, I found, to go ahead and just cut that, and then I use the pliers, and then I just bend it like that, and then it'll come off. So there we have the old modification that can go in the trash. Now the next step is to actually place the trap pan on the trap. So what I do is I check and make sure the surface is nice and smooth. This one actually needs to be a tad bit filed. There's always a rough edge on here on most of these traps. A lot of times I can just rivet these on and we'll be good, but sometimes you actually have to touch it up with a file just to smooth it. Sometimes you get a rough edge and that'll actually hinder the movement of the modification pan. Okay. Then I just place it on just like so. I use my the bottom bracket. I call this bracket number 2. Put it on, spin it, and then before I crimp these on, I always like to put both rivets on. This just makes it smooth and fast. One, it's lined up, so if you put one rivet in, crimp it down, and then do another one, a lot of times it's not going to be centered, and it's going to be quite difficult to get that second crimp on, the second rivet. So I put them both on. Okay, I got one down. Okay. Now this is a nice smooth action trap right here. Notice how smooth it goes. Well, actually, the way I had these pans manufactured is I have them bent at an angle which is roughly about a straight 90-degree angle. What I want to do is bend it or invert it upwards to probably about a 70-degree angle. And all I do is use my palm and bend it like that. Okay? So when we actually set the outer side here, that's bent a little too much. You can see how there's only roughly a tiny gap right here. It's flat, it's got a larger surface area for when the mold to burrow through, and he fires that trap, he's going to get caught. Okay. So this trap is ready to go on the ground. That one is good to go. Like you can notice, this one's already set too. It's nice and flat, it comes up. There's actually very little difference on this modification from how it's set to how an original mold trap is set. Underneath my bench here I have about 200-300 brand new Outosites that have to be modified yet. Well, if you watch this, I can show you quickly. Okay, if we're looking at the Outosite, that one's set to an hair trigger apparently. Okay, there we go. Notice how there's just a small gap here. That's roughly about a 1/2 inch. Now if we look on this one, that's just a little bit bigger, maybe 3/4 of an inch. There isn't a large difference. The main reason on this, with the stainless steel, we're going to eliminate a lot of the rust. One, it's going to be a smooth firing action. And two, it's virtually maintenance free. You're never really going to have to file down or sand down these contact points here, because once the mold trap is active and in the field for a while, you're going to have to file this down and keep it smooth, just to ensure a nice firing. And if you notice here, I don't know if you can really see it in the camera, but on the stock traps, these are actually just machine cut and they're rough on the edges. Now the trigger rods that I'm using, I had manufactured. They are out of 304 stainless, and it's beveled edge, a nice smooth beveled edge. So when that trap is actually going on the trap pan lip here, there's just a tiny portion of that trigger rod touching it. One, that's going to minimize the contact, and two, make it easier to fire. There's no burr, it's nice and smooth, it's not going to rust. It's got the increased angle here for a higher percentage of catches. Now, there are so many different ways to set a Victor Outosite. You know, I'm going to have to show another video come mold trapping season how I do it exactly, but you'll see though that this will greatly increase, one, your catch, two, and minimize your amount of time on modifying traps. You know, by maintaining them, by filing the contact points, or smoothing the contact points and getting rid of the rust. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and disarm that trap. I'll go ahead and show you again how I do this once more. Like I said, I line this up with the safety catch and the trigger rod. I use my S-hook removal tool. Give it a squeeze. These come off nicely. right above the dented portion where it's stamped on. And I use the pliers and the plier vice grip. And sometimes I don't get it well enough. Just touch it up. There we go. Just like that. Opens up. You can take it off. Insert your trap pan, your small bracket or bracket number 2. Remember, always put the 2 in before you start to crimp it. Okay, now I'll do the second one. And here we have a nice smooth action. See, you got caught there. That's a fairly decent working one. We're going to leave that. That should be good to go. I'm going to just standardize them, make that increased bend. Okay. Use my bench mounted ferrule swagger. Okay, insert my stainless steel trigger rod, line it up, give it a crimp, and there you go. There's a perfectly modified, ready to go Elite Mole upgrade. This is 100% manufactured in the United States. The trap pans themselves and the brackets come from a company out of Illinois, and then I went with a company out of Minnesota to make my stainless steel trigger rods. These come from a distributor in the United States. I am unaware, or I'm unsure about which one makes them, but these are also made in the United States. So once we do that, we'll give it a quick test. As you can see, it's nice and smooth and very minimal pressure on the pan to make it fire. So there you go. My name is Jordan, Bud's Nuisance Wildlife Removal, LLC, Elite Mole Upgrade. Thanks for watching.